Vinyl collecting can be one of the more rewarding hobbies out there, but if you're not too careful, it could turn into an out of control addiction. So today, I want to talk about the 5 stages of vinyl record collecting addiction, how to recognize them, and most importantly, how to break out of the cycle and collect responsibly. Welcome back to the channel. Now, just like there are 5 stages of grief, we're going to be talking about the 5 stages of vinyl record collecting addiction. So let's just start right off the rip with number 1, which is going to be the discovery stage. Now, this is when you first stumble into the hobby, whether it was 4 weeks ago or 4 decades ago. Maybe you got intoxicated by that large circular disc hypnotically rotating on a turntable. Maybe you enjoyed digging through crates of old records at your parents' house, or maybe the never-ending variety of colored vinyl caught your eye. And when you finally set up your very first turntable, started spinning your first few records, you quickly realized, yeah, I'm gonna need more of this. Okay, let's move on to number 2 now, which is the obsession stage. Now, this is where you just can't stop thinking about vinyl records. This is where you're checking the Discogs marketplace daily, looking for great deals. This is where you're counting the days till record store day. And this is where you're watching countless vinyl record haul videos on YouTube every night. And when you're out during the day, you invent any reason to go into a store that sells vinyl records. And this obsession stage feeds right into number 3 on my list, which is the escalation stage. Now, this is where the hobby can really start spinning out of control if you're not careful, and if it does, it can really cost you some serious money. At first, you might just be interested in regular albums, but maybe it soon escalates to special color vinyl releases. Then it might escalate to limited edition box sets. Rare first pressings might be the apple of your eye at some point, or maybe buying records signed by your favorite artist is worth the very, very hefty price tag. But your escalation with the vinyl obsession doesn't just end with vinyl purchases, and that's because your knowledge begins to escalate as well. Perhaps your tastes in music expand significantly, so much so that you begin creating Excel spreadsheets to catalog all of the vinyl records you own and want to buy in the future. Maybe you then start researching matrix numbers online and even begin paying attention to etchings in the runout, because you're always on the lookout to see which mastering engineer wrote his initials into the dead wax of a record. At some point, you might start loving albums from overseas, especially if that album was never released in your country. So if your favorite artist or band released an album in Japan or Italy, or there's a unique version of an album you already have that was sold in limited quantities in Germany or the UK, then you might turn into an online detective just to track it down. The thrill of the hunt is what makes vinyl really fun, but that fun can come with a high price tag when the addiction begins to escalate. Okay, let's move on to the 4th stage, which is the crashing stage. This is where the vinyl addiction begins to catch up with you and you start crashing back down to earth. And in some cases, that fall back down to earth can be really painful. This is where the money you set aside for this hobby starts to run low, and you even contemplate selling several records to recoup part of your initial investment. And this is definitely when guilt sets in, where you maybe feel disappointment, embarrassment, or shame for letting your buying and collecting habits go unchecked for so long. You never want to feel burnt out by the vinyl hobby, but this crashing stage is one where you can be so easily overwhelmed by the hobby itself that you start looking around and wondering whether it's all worth it in the first place. And now we arrive at the final stage, which is the reset or finding balance stage. Now, this is where you critically evaluate where you're currently at in your collecting journey, and you start making moves to get back to a more reasonable, healthy, and happy place. This is the stage where you remember why you got into vinyl collecting in the first place. This is where you realize that intentionality is important. So you might start setting guidelines for yourself in terms of what to buy, whether that's based on artist, genre, or price. And you might become more discriminating with what you purchase in general, maybe electing to only buy albums you know you love, rather than an album you hope you'll like. This is where you can make the choice to stop blind buying vinyl altogether, so that you're actually curating a collection rather than hoarding records. And this is where you remember that, above everything else, vinyl is about the music. It's not about how much you buy, how much you spend, or how rare an album is. It's the artists, writers, producers, and the musical performances that make the vinyl hobby great. So finding that balance where vinyl can be a great part of your life, but not take over your life, is the perfect way to prevent collecting from becoming an addiction. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button down below. I always appreciate it when you do that. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel devoted to vinyl if you want to be alerted whenever a new video drops. And also, let me know down in the comments section below, what do you think about the idea or the concept of vinyl record addiction? Do you think you've ever been addicted to collecting vinyl records? Do you think maybe you still are addicted to collecting vinyl records? I would love to know your answer. Thank you again for watching. I will see you in the next video, and as always, stay devoted to vinyl.